was an post from Poilievre and talking about a Canada First immigration and refugee system, which should only invite the right people in the right numbers so our jobs, healthcare, and housing can catch up. And that's how it used to be, by the way,
Oh,
under Stephen Harper.
yeah.
It feels so far ago. Instead, the Liberals' radical open border policies broke Canada's immigration system and made all these problems worse, which isn't fair to anyone. He's promised to fix it, but actually, I saw today that he's going to blow past any of the previous
Uh,
immigration
it is
numbers
just
that were there.
it is just wild. Yep.
So temporary foreign workers, the promised cap was at 82,000. They Why do we even have 82,000? These are jobs that could be done by Canadian kids.
That's
Um,
right.
they've
Entry-level jobs. Yes.
issued 105,000 so far. International mobility programs promise cap at 285,000, admitted
Oh,
302,000 in the first 6 months. The Canada faces the lowest youth employment, which on the flip side is the highest youth unemployment rate since 1998.
oh,
And the Liberals are on track to issue the most temporary foreign worker visas in a single year. Our
this is
asylum system is facing collapse with a nearly 3,000% increase in the backlog since 2015. Wait times for hearings have already been stretched beyond 4 years. That's enough for the anchor baby to start preschool with these people.
right.
Um, these new numbers mean more delays, turning Canada's asylum process into a waiting room of broken promises. My God in heaven, this is a disaster.
It's the it's a well, it's definitely a recipe for one Sheila Gunn Reid, because in bringing hundreds of thousands of people into the country with our socialized healthcare, right? That they are displacing young people in the jobs market is one thing, but that they are contributing to our housing crisis in the nation, that they're contributing to our healthcare collapse in the nation, that you know, children that come to Canada have a right to education, and our schools are absolutely packed to the gills with with the children of people that have come over recently. It is such a disservice to the people that live here, and yet we are being we are being forced to pay for all of it. And so this is just a real fascinating thing to watch, because in the lead up to the election, again, I know I'm going to sound like a little bit of a broken record as it pertains to Pierre Poilievre, but I am so delighted to hear him sound like an actual conservative.
Yeah.
His gag has been taken off. Okay. He got let off his leashes, and he's tackling some of these things that were problematic in the lead up to the election. Immigration definitely being one of them, in a more practical way. It's like he learned a couple lessons in his walk in the desert, you know?
Yeah. I think, as Rupa Subramanya points out, and we'll get to that in a
Rupa.
second, these
Rupa.
I love saying Rupa's name. She's got the funnest name to say.
Just roll
Um,
it. Just
but
roll
she's
your R's.
Rupa
Rupa.
Subramanya. She's pointed out the vast change, but it should be noted that the population of Regina is like 250,000,
Yeah.
roughly about
Yeah,
that.
somewhere in there. Yeah.
So we're bringing in like a Regina plus 100,000 just in temporary foreign workers and people who are part of the mobility workforce mobility
And
program, or whatever they're calling whatever program they're using to displace Canadian workers.
yeah. Yeah, and that has it just has devastating consequences to actual Canadians that are living on the fringes and just hanging on. We have Canadians that aren't affording groceries, are hardly affording rent, and when they do, get forced out of the rental market, I mean, we're seeing old ladies being forced to live on the streets.
Right.
This is a reality for Canadians. I know that I've told the story again, but I just wanna tell it one more time because it was just so shocking and telling. But in Victoria, British Columbia, we experienced a woman on the street, she had to have been in her 70s. She had to have been over 70 years old and was homeless for 2 weeks. Imagine that. Imagine your grandma, okay? Imagine your grandma's social housing being delivered to a new Canadian because the priority was put on the new Canadian other than your grandma. This is the reality of what's happening in Canada. This is the families and children homeless to make way for these to make to to make way for these new asylum seekers or refugees or temporary foreign workers or whatever program they work under. This is having devastating consequences on the people of Canada, and it must stop. Good for Pierre Poilievre for putting his foot down in this moment. We need a true leader as it pertains to this issue, and it looks like we got one in him. Now tackle gender, Pierre. Okay,
Well,
let's
he's
start talking about gender
next.
the same way as we're talking about immigration.
Yeah, we've got this clip from Rupa. It's a little bit long, but I think it shows the evolution of Polyev.
Mm,
And so Rupa says, in 2 years, Polyev went from pledging faster immigration, processing for cooks.
mm,
That's the evolution of Tim Hortons, I guess,
yeah.
and boosting economic immigration to offering study loans and big, powerful inflation-proof paychecks for newcomers.
Oh.
Now he's pushing depopulation. Has anyone asked him what changed? I mean,
The election changed.
yeah,
The election would have changed him because they would have done a real deep analysis on what exactly went wrong in those last 6 weeks, and his stance on immigration, wasn't keeping up to the opinion of Canadians.
but not
It was
just that, but not keeping up to the basic economic understanding of supply and demand,
right.
right? There you can't oversupply the labor market, and not think that it would create unemployment for the people that are already here. You cannot
Yeah,
oversupply the patient market and
and
think that it wouldn't put a burden on the healthcare system, or
yeah.
oversupply people who need housing and think that it wouldn't damage the housing market.
Sure, sure. These things should have been considered at the outset, but at the coming out of COVID, where we had, where we had entry level workers being able to access CERB, for instance, right? Like
Right.
we had entry level workers, we had teenagers that were able to access CERB. Suddenly, with thousands of dollars of Canadian taxpayer dollars in their pockets, and there was no incentive for them to get back to work. So then we had this little glut in the employment market where we did need to fill some spots, right?
Yeah.
Where we had to wait for the serve money serve money to run out and for these people to get back to work. But then it was abused in such a humongous way by the Liberal Party of Canada and the federal government, and they have not stopped the fire hose of people coming into the country. You know what I mean? Like, at what point are we going to see a complete moratorium and a reversal on immigration issues in Canada? Because now that we can talk about it publicly without being called, all of the names, we certainly have to do that. Like, we have to get a handle on this. And I think along with radical gender, if Pierre Poilievre keeps on this track with immigration, I do believe that that's his pathway to win because it's just such a common sense, popular
Sure.
thing to be able to remark upon right now. We will fix this for you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Canadians would be delighted. Yeah.
Except for the Toronto area boomers who vote Liberal, don't write me letters, and who bought their multi-million-dollar home for, uh, a couple
16
of wooden nickels and a bag of cans.
like like 16 grand
Yeah,
in 1979. Yeah.
yeah. Um, let's watch a little bit of that clip from Rupa that she dug up. Polyev talking to ethnic media, and obviously it's saying exactly what they wanted to hear. But I
Is this
think
gonna hurt? This might hurt. Okay, I'll
this,
just
you know
prepare
what
myself.
though? Just know that this man sitting before us has been absolutely mugged by reality. Um, and
That's true.
and that is something that his predecessors were not willing to do, and that was change their opinions on things. They
Yeah.
were willing to ride the crazy train to the bottom of the cliff, and he is not.
Yeah.
So there's 2.6 million people waiting for their immigration applications to be
Yeah.
processed.
Yes.
1.2
go
million are past the service standard.
Hmm.
This is a staggering number, and it's incredible because Trudeau's spending vastly more money on bureaucrats to process all of this, but it's not getting done. And we need to get the government producing and performing again, incentivize the public servants to rapidly process these applications, because right now we have businesses that can't get workers. I visited with A1 Trusses yesterday. They're a Vancouver area company that build trusses for homes. I don't know if you know of the
For a
company.
long time, yeah.
Yeah, and
very reputed.
their problem is they can't get enough workers, so they can't keep
As
up with the
if.
demand. That means housing is more expensive. You need.
Okay.
Or were they saying that they wouldn't hire Canadian workers because they couldn't get the 30% wage subsidy?
Bingo.
Yeah, I think that more has to do with it because, uh, I mean, the incentives for employers to hire temporary foreign workers are so great that they will just do anything not to hire actual Canadians. Anything. They get 30% on every dollar that those employees take home. It is wild. It is actually crazy. Guess who's paying for that, Canada? You are. You are.
Yeah. I see that somebody, like, the numbers are here for us that we can look at just real quick. It's called LMIA stats. Now, LMIA is a program by which the temporary foreign workers are coming
Okay.
into this country just to displace the jobs.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure how how the companies make the case for why they shouldn't have to employ Canadian teenagers working in the like going to school and taking mechanics and auto body,
Sure.
why those kids would be a bad choice to work at the Mr. Lube or the
Right.
Lubex versus the temporary foreign workers these companies are hiring. Ask yourself when the last time you
Oh,
had a kid, like a Canadian teenager, change your oil. Think about it. Anyway, so LMI is the Labor Market Impact Assessment, and Canadian employers need to prove that they require a foreign worker to fill a job and that no Canadian or a permanent resident is available for the position, which is
oh,
absolute garbage. But if you look at the LMIA stats, these are the labor market assessments. Year to date approved 103,000, up up
100,000.
nearly 15,000 from the year before. Year to date approved positions, 229,000.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Look at how much
That's
it's
the
gone up
population.
quarter one.
That's the
That's the
population
population
of
of Saskatoon.
all of Regina. That's right.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. And our friend Dave popped this into our chat with a couple of examples of Regina employers that are advertising on this website. So a painter, $17 an hour. Hotel maintenance helper, 17. So this is for Delta hotels, right? Like a humongous Delta hotels can't find somebody to do regular maintenance. I guess not. A retail supervisor for mobile, $21 to $22 an hour in Regina. And then like Chinatown restaurant, actually they do have the best chicken balls in all of the city of Regina. Everybody knows it. Okay, everybody knows it. But they're looking at
Yeah,
hiring
you can't
a
hire someone to work at the gas station? Are you
true
crazy?
story. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. This like it's actually they can't find a painter? They can't find a painter in Canada?
No.
A painter? Like, it's just wild and off the hook, and obviously, we gotta get a handle on this because it's not serving Canada, it's not serving Canadians, and it's definitely not serving our young people.